When you make a post on X, you don't always expect to go viral for this, but I did in talking about Strange New Worlds this weekend over the New York Comic Con weekend, where the new trailer got unveiled and we got a lot new information about the show. Now, I posted something simple after this. We've been talking about it all week here on the channel. I said very simply, I feel like Alex Kurtzman got in a room with the writers of Starfleet Academy and said, okay, everything we can possibly do to make Star Trek fans hate the show, let's put that all out on the table and throw a ton of budget at it. And it kind of seems like what's happening. If you don't know, it's got the biggest and most expensive set in Starfleet Star Trek history built here for their Academy Bridge situation. And with that, it costs so much that it's rumored that the budget is about $20 million per episode for the first season. That's a crazy amount of money for this show. And they're going to be putting a lot at it. Notice they redesigned the uniforms. The uniforms don't look better or anything like that. They just did a redesign. Why did they have to do that? They only used the uniforms for Discovery for like 10 episodes. I mean, it's crazy. But this is like the type of just spending money that doesn't need to be spent that's been being done, and probably why Paramount's not been happy with the way that Star Trek's been running. Now, everything Alex Kurtzman does and has done has been something that the fans have grumbled about. We've seen it with Discovery at the very beginning. The whole Klingons and the way they redesigned the Klingons when they didn't need to was something that just upset continuity and made the fans go, what the heck? Now, they kind of walked that back later on, said there were just different species of Klingons, and it kind of didn't quite make sense. But that seems to be the trend. They do a problem, the Gorn showing up in Starfleet, in Strange New Worlds, and then they do a solution later, retcon. They retcon the retcon to make it kind of try to fit a little more with continuity when it doesn't quite work. And the problem is they've been doing prequels this entire time, so that really, really hurts things as well. Now with Picard, you had similar problems. You had Picard go out there, and unfortunately, he was a little too old to do the action stuff that they really wanted with it. And so they just had Picard kind of look like a feeble old man, which kind of ruined his legacy for the first season. The whole first season didn't make sense. The second one was really off the rails with tons of political messaging and the like, and it looked like it was just a series of lesbians running around in space rather than actually being about Picard. That turned off a lot of fans. Discovery went even crazier with all of its weird identity politics and its fake science where it just doesn't make a lot of sense, and we knew it, and it was cringy the entire time as well. Now, Strange New Worlds backed off of it a little bit, but they've made a lot of mistakes by just not doing Star Trek as well. Everything has to be like a parody of something else. It has to be the musical episode. It has to be this holodeck episode where we're making fun of Gene Roddenberry. It seems like they're mocking Star Trek more than they're making Star Trek with a lot of these choices. And when they do have all of this budget and all these writers' rooms and all that, and they make these blatant continuity errors and change things and add a half Klingon, half Jem'Hadar like setup like we have right here, that doesn't make any sense at all since the Jem'Hadar don't really reproduce like that. It's something that's like, what's going on here? So you already have a lot of explaining to do with the series. You have, why does this Jem'Hadar exist? And I guess they're going to try to hand-wavy him and explain it in a way that makes sense. You have the Doctor, who is now a hologram, who for some reason is old. Like, why did the hologram age? Well, they're going to have to explain that. So now you have two characters that just their mere existence you have to explain away. That's a lot of work. Like, you can kind of get away with that with one, but when you got multiple, it's a big problem. Now, this went viral for one reason, and I'm going to get into that in just a moment because it's pretty crazy. So please hit the like and subscribe button. And I was not prepared for this, but I'm also going to react and respond to it because Robert Picardo himself, the Doctor, the EMH, actually responded to this and told me I shouldn't be criticizing Starfleet Academy. Please hit the like and subscribe button. As I said, if you like my thoughts on science fiction and the like, this is my Valiant Frontiers. I built a new series, and it's a trilogy of novels, which is all about space exploration and fun again. I want you to check this out. I wrote it all in advance, and I am just urging you today. This is a lot of fun. This is what science fiction should be. If you like what Star Trek was in the 90s before all this nonsense, you're really going to love all this right here. Captain Conley and his crew are the embodiment of what it means to explore worlds. They're the embodiment of real heroism, and you could see that I just did beautiful covers with a wonderful artist who did some wonderful paintings on these to bring back that classic sense before things kind of changed in the way that the art directions have gone these days as well. Each story is its own kind of Planet of the Week adventure and self-contained in this, and so while I do try to get you on the trilogy, you can grab just one book if you want to do that. but it's better to get the whole trilogy and get the whole experience right here. I did write the whole thing in advance as well. So check this out. It's in the description below. Thank you for supporting alternative entertainment. It's, of course, tough getting the word out these days, and I know the economy's in a rough spot, so I appreciate you all being here. But let's get back to the news. All right, so here's Robert Picardo and what he says here. He said right here, January 15th is not that far away, referencing when Starfleet Academy is coming out. Always better to review something after you've seen it, I'm pretty sure. John, you wouldn't want someone to review your art without looking at it. Now, this is interesting, and it's pretty specious right here, because this acts like we don't know what Starfleet Academy is. And it acts like it's just some brand new, crazy thing. It could be anything. I have no clue. It's a total surprise. When they've been promoting it for over a year, they've been doing interviews with the actors, interviews with Alex Kurtzman. They've told us what it's about. They've told us the direction they're going. I'm talking about the direction it's going. I'm obviously not talking about any specific scenes or anything like that. And the direction is something that Star Trek fans don't like. And I think this is the case all the way around. I've not seen a lot of hype for this. I was at the Star Trek convention in July. There was not a lot of hype for it. Nobody was talking about Starfleet Academy and being excited about it. They were talking about a Voyager reunion, and that's what they wanted. If you looked at the lines for the Strange New Worlds folk there and for the Discovery folk there, they were pretty empty and pretty short compared to the Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager actors who were busy the whole weekend. If you looked at the panels, people didn't show up for the Strange New Worlds panels. They showed up for Riker, right? And so there is a problem and a disconnect with what Kurtzman's doing with Star Trek with this entire franchise right now. Starfleet Academy, as a concept, has been one that's been floated by different producers for years, ever since Brandon Braga was doing it before. And it's something that fans really have groaned about and didn't want the entire time. Because the concept of it is these young cadets who are like hormone-addled and getting into these relationship dramas. And it's not about exploring strange new worlds. It's not about the science fiction. It's about a college-age sexy time drama. And that isn't necessary to have Star Trek do that. The people who want to watch those kind of dramas are watching 90210 or one of the, I don't even know what the current ones are because I don't pay attention to them. The science fiction fans who like Star Trek are not watching those. And they don't want to watch, the Star Trek fans therefore don't want to watch this. Those fans also don't want to watch this. So you're making a very, very expensive thing for nobody. And that's the whole problem with Kurtzman's Star Trek in a nutshell. He has always wanted it to not actually be Star Trek. He wanted it to be something else. Now, I've got a problem with the half Jem'Hadar sort of thing. I've got a problem with the aged hologram. And I think even though they say they're going to explain it, I think I am right to be nervous about that, given the track record of Alex Kurtzman in Star Trek as well. I also don't like that this is set in Discovery post-Burn era, and I think most Star Trek fans also agree with that, which is what I said. This is what Star Trek fans will hate the show. Nobody likes the Discovery post-Burn era. They thought that was a bad concept that really didn't jive with the whole, better humanity in Starfleet thing, that, we now have a dystopia that we have to rebuild everything. That's not really Gene Roddenberry's vision right there. That's not Star Trek's vision. That's all well-known stuff about the show. I don't really like that they're bringing in a bunch of Discovery cameos of different characters and things like that either, because I don't care what's happening to those characters. I don't want them back. I had washed my hands of it, and I think most of us did by the end of that show as well. So when you put all these things together, you see this is a recipe for something that Trek fans will probably hate this show. It's not that we don't know. It's not that it's just some random piece of art that we have. This is them trying to put in to get a new modern audience, which is a romance-driven audience, I guess. I guess that's what they're going for, female audience. And they are not going to like the show anyway, which is not even what I care about. But Star Trek people are not going to like the show because it doesn't feel like Star Trek right away. Now, this is what I said to it. If you can honestly tell me the show is not going to be woke, I will be a hype man for it. I will have a review day one and earlier if you want to get me on a press list, and I should be on a press list. This is my side channel. I've got a 60,000 plus YouTube channel, and I run a website called Fandom Pulse, which actually is one of the most viewed pop culture substacks out there. So I should be on a press list, but they won't be on one because I'll give an honest review about this. And I think, he didn't reply to this. He did, of course not. He just wanted to say that I shouldn't talk about something and shouldn't speculate about something without viewing it first. But isn't that the entire point of trailers? Isn't that the entire point of you going to New York Comic Con and having panels on it and having a whole setup on it for promotion and all that? That the promotion is not working on Star Trek fans like myself, longtime Star Trek fans, is not a good sign for what you guys are doing there. And I think they know that in advance, and I think that they know that this is not going to go well in advance. It was the same thing with Section 31. One of the actors went out there and actually said it was going to be a show that Star Trek fans didn't like. Now, they're being more careful with the press on this one because Section 31 failed so badly, but just looking at the promotional images, they're doing things pretty wrong here. And I don't think that it's a problem talking about that, speculating about that, or criticizing what we've seen so far. I don't think there's anything unfair about that, but I will watch it. And here's the thing. If I'm wrong, and I really hope to hell I am, and it's a great episode, I will be here on day one saying this was a great episode. I was wrong. And God bless all these people. I hope they really succeed. If that's the case, I will do that because I'm honest here. I'm always an honest reviewer. But the indications that we see so far, and there's a lot of them, are that this is not going to be something for Star Trek fans. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Please hit the like and subscribe button. This is for Star Trek fans right here, guys. Grab my trilogy. It's on Fund My Comic, even though it's not a comic, in the description below. I really appreciate you guys for supporting this crowdfund and supporting real independent arts. These are going to be fantastic, and you can judge a book by its cover if you want. I think they're great covers, and I'm very proud of those covers, and I'd like to hear what you think about them. Thank you guys for being here. We'll be back soon.